Hi, I'm Panner TV, and this is Path of Exile. Today, the absolute beginner basics of Trials of Sekhemas, which you will find in Act 2. Trials of Sekhemas is a game mode in PoE 2 where you go through rooms with different mechanics, which we'll get to later. You punch your way through those mechanics until you get to a boss, and then you punch that guy too. Then you get cool stuff at the end. You can't leave in the middle of the floor, but you can leave between floors. Seriously, don't try it. They will let you portal out of the middle of the floor, but it's gonna bug your game a little. What cool stuff do you get? Well, most importantly, you get your Ascendancy there. That is your subclass, which can be build defining or absolute garbage. I picked mine, the Titan, because I like smashing things. Beyond that, you can use it as a mini farm before you get to the endgame, or even as a farm in the endgame if it's a little too hard for you or if you get there under-geared. Okay, that's cool, that's great. How do you start? Well, in Act 2, you're gonna go into some trader tunnels and you're gonna punch Barbara. Sorry, blah blah blah. I don't know what her name is. Blah blah? When there's gas filling, go find her to make it stop. She'll be invisible, you'll be fine. Follow the quest and you'll get to the Trials of Sekhemas area where you will plug in a key. This is called a Jin Barrier. It will let you go into the actual Trials of Sekhemas. That's it for now. Finish it or fail it. If you don't have your Ascendancy yet, Barb will give you another run. Past that first one, the key is spent whether you pass or fail. That's the basics, but like everything else in Path of Exile 2, there is more to it. Mechanics. Okay, put on your walking boots because this is all going to be a mouthful. The entrance. Let's start with how you get in past that very first one. You need the key, the Jin Barrier. They drop randomly across acts. They have different levels and they tell you how many levels you can go or how deep into the trials you can go. Within the trial itself, you can find relics, which can modify your run. You'll get more slots for relics as you progress. They can help you by improving your drops, weakening monsters, or improving your honor, which is a good time to talk about the honor mechanic. Honor is your secondary Trials of Sekhemas life bar. It is based on your defenses, but is entirely separate from your actual HP and energy shield. When you take damage, you lose honor. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio, but it does kinda suck considering it is difficult to regain honor outside of events. And yes, damage over time totally sucks. Anyway, lose all of it and you fail the trial and are booted out. Oh, and it's shared in co-op, so you cannot scam your way through it, not easily anyway. That seems easy, right? Just play well. And there are events that can let you replenish it, but wait, there's more. There's of course the trials in the Trials of Sekhemas. Thought you were just gonna destroy everything? Well, in most rooms, yeah, but each room also has an objective. There are different kinds of rooms and we will discuss all of them. The Hourglass trial, for example, requires you to survive against a horde until the timer runs out. Good news, it gives you rare enemies and killing them not only gives you drops but also shortens the timer. Bad news, there is rarely any cover and sometimes there are traps. Next is the Gauntlet, which puts you in the Crystal Maze where you have to dodge some traps and fight some dudes to get to the end. Generally speaking, you want to find a lever to open the door so you can get to the end. And if it seems simple at the start, don't worry, it gets complicated. The Chalice has you hunt down some rare enemies to fill the eponymous chalice. Once you get rid of those enemies, the door will open and you can move on. The Escape trial has you defusing death crystals before they, deaf you. Lastly, the Ritual trial has you chasing down portals and the summoners powering them. Sometimes there's a lot of portals, sometimes there's just one guarded by a really big rare creature. Sometimes there's more traps, sometimes there's less. Okay, I know that seems like a lot, but once you get through to your first run, it'll all come together and it won't be as overwhelming. Of course, Path of Exile 2 very much loves its layers, and the next layer of this involves Afflictions. As you progress through rooms on the floor, you can get things called Afflictions. These are things that generally make your run harder. Since you cannot avoid them, the goal is to make sure they impact your run as little as possible. For example, if you do not have an energy shield, you can get the affliction that says you can't get an energy shield and laugh all the way to the bank. There are a lot of afflictions, so I'm just going to talk about the worst ones. For Jesus Christ, don't pick worn sandals if you can help it, because that will just ruin your run. It will kill your run for bus fare and then walk. Anything that robs you of information should also be carefully considered, as these can prevent you from making smart choices. And in Path of Exile, it gets real tough, especially if your build isn't optimized yet or isn't complete yet, so you may as well try to stack the deck in your favor when you can. Also generally dislike the ones that improve monster stats, such as the ones that increase their cast, attack, and movement speed, or the ones that generally weaken our attacks, such as Blunt Sword. And I know, eventually you might be forced to pick them because you have to go 4 floors deep eventually if you take the Trials of Sekhemas route towards unlocking your ascendancies. Well, your full ascendancies at any rate. So the good news is, it's not just Afflictions down here. There's also Boons. You can get these from random events or from buying them from Barbara, who can pop up randomly in a room or at the end of each floor. Okay, that's enough suffering. So, how do you make the most of it aside from your ascendancy points? Well, let's talk about the currencies in the Trials of Sekhemas. There are 2, Sacred Water and Keys. Sacred Water is a currency you can find from monsters or as a reward for a room. You can spend these on room events for Boons or on Barbara, who will either pop up in the middle of a room or at the end of the floor. You can get more Boons from her or get relics, which can help you modify your run. Keys, on the other hand, come in 3 tasty flavors: gold, silver, and chocolate browns. They open chests at the end of each floor of the trial. You can also trade in some extra Sacred Water for keys and open a few more chests, but you can only do that at the final floor of your current trial. Well, that's it. That's the basics. Go get them, Tiger, and make sure to check your Jin barriers to see what you can get out of them. They will tell you if they'll give you more ascendancy points or if they're there just for you to go on a item run. Until next time, I'm Panator, Pad of Exile. Fire is life, so let's live with it.